Welcome back to the Qvera Interface Engine Getting Started series, QIE Basics. In this episode, we will walk you through the process of creating your first QIE interface. We will show you how to create an interface between your EHR and a reference lab, and how to manipulate the outgoing message to resolve common clinical issues. The reference lab is expecting HL7 test orders that include patient identifying information and are associated with standardized link codes. Our EHR is creating an HL7 lab order. However, the patient ID is not in the expected field, the patient name is not the correct case, and some of the link codes are expired. We will create an interface that will pick up the outbound lab order, copy the patient ID into the required field, set the name to the correct case, and will replace any expired link codes with the current one. Then we will send the order to the lab. Click on the Lab Interfaces zone and select Channels in the navigation panel. In QIE, a channel represents an interface between two or more systems and contains the configuration for managing the flow of data between those systems. A channel can only have one source system, but can be configured to send the message to multiple destinations. To create a new channel, click on the New button, which opens up the Channel Properties dialog box. We will give our channel a name and provide a brief description. We will accept the channel defaults and click OK to create our channel. To learn more about channel configuration options, please refer to the reference manual under the Help menu. Once our channel has been created, we are brought to the Visual Channel Editor, which allows us to visually create our interface and map out the flow of messages through the channel using channel nodes. There are 4 types of channel nodes in the Qvera Interface Engine: source node, condition nodes, mapping nodes, and destination nodes. Each node has a unique function and role to play in the flow of data through the channel. Each channel will have only one source node. The source node determines the type of messages that will be received into the channel, for example, HL7, XML, and JSON, and how those messages will be received. Examples include web service connections, socket connections, and FTP connections. QIE supports all standards, including FHIR. A condition node is used to direct message flow through the channel. If the condition is met, the message gets routed to any nodes connected to the successful connection point. If the condition is not met, the message gets routed to any nodes connected to the failure connection point. A mapping node is used to reformat or manipulate message data as messages are processed through the channel. A mapping node contains an ordered list of mapping functions applied to the message. Mapping functions range in complexity from simple data manipulations, such as changing a string to upper or lowercase, to more sophisticated functions involving table lookups, database queries, or custom JavaScript manipulations. A destination node specifies the data endpoint for the channel. Similar to a source node, the destination node is used to configure how messages are sent to the destination system. There is no limit to the number of destinations in a channel. When a new channel is created, QIE automatically generates a source, mapping, and destination node as the building blocks to start your interface. New nodes can be added to your channel by selecting the desired node icon and dragging it into the Visual Channel Editor. Connections are added by selecting the node and dragging the green checkbox to the desired destination. For condition nodes, there are 2 connections to make: a pass and a fail. The green check indicates the condition was met, while the red X indicates the condition was not met. Let's go back to the new channel layout and start building our lab interface. To configure our source node, click on the green channel node. The associated node tab is opened in the panel directly below the Visual Channel Editor. The first thing we need to do is define the format of the incoming message. QIE has built-in support for all legacy and emerging interoperability formats, including HL7, JSON, and XML, to name a few. We will select HL7, as that is the format of our lab order message. Next, we will tell QIE how it will receive the incoming messages by selecting a value from the Source drop-down menu. QIE has built-in support for multiple communication protocols, including monitoring file and FTP folders, scripts, sockets, and all SOAP and REST-based web services. To learn more about the supported data formats and communication protocols, please refer to the reference manual under the Help menu. We will configure QIE to monitor a local folder for the HL7 lab orders by selecting File from the drop-down list. This opens up the Directory Configuration tab, where you can type in the folder QIE will monitor, verify we entered the path correctly, and set the scan interval. Next, we will load in sample messages that assist us during the development of our interface and which we can use to test channel configurations prior to deployment. Click on the Sample Messages tab and select the format of your message. Give your sample message a description and either paste the message in the dialog box or import an existing file by clicking File, selecting Import, and browsing to the file on your computer. One of the distinguishing features of QIE is our intelligent parsing engine, which eliminates pipe counting by parsing message segments and fields and makes messages easier to read by applying syntax highlighting. As you can see in our sample message, strings are green, numbers are blue, and dates are purple. The parsing engine has also calculated each segment and field for us. When we click on the patient's date of birth, in the lower left-hand corner, QIE displays the segment and field we selected. We can also search for a particular field by opening up the Find command and typing in the field we are looking for. These features aid in faster interface development, as you will see later on in our video. Now that our source node is configured, it is time to configure our mapping node. A mapping node is made up of one or more mapping functions that manipulate the message data or format as the message is processed through the channel. To complete our interface, we will add 3 mapping functions. The first will copy the patient ID into the required field, the second will change the patient's name to uppercase, and the last will replace any expired link codes. To insert a mapping function, click on the Insert button. This brings up the Mapping Function dialog box. QIE includes many built-in mapping functions to assist with performing the most common data manipulation operations. These mapping functions eliminate scripting errors, simplify channel maintenance, and significantly reduce channel development costs. Click on the Function drop-down list to access them. To learn more about the built-in mapping functions, please refer to the reference manual under the Help menu. Our first mapping function is going to copy the patient ID from PID 3 to PID 2. To accomplish this, we will select Standard from the drop-down list. Next, we will enter a description for our mapping function. The source field identifies the source of the data that will be used. We will leave this value as source node to tell QIE to pull the data from the original message. The node path field is used to reference or query for data elements in a message. In our case, we are looking for field 3 of the PID segment. If you know the segment and field you are looking for, then you can type it directly in the node path field. If you do not know the segment and field, you can click on the hourglass to bring up QIE's node path dialog box. The node path dialog box assists you in finding the path you are looking for by displaying the sample message. QIE provides 2 options for you to easily find your path. You can use the message model tree to navigate to the segment and field you are looking for, or you can select the field in the sample message and QIE will automatically enter the correct segment and field in the node path. Now that we have the field we want to copy, we need to tell QIE where we want to copy it to. This is done in the Target section. Click on Insert to create a new target. The target type is used to specify whether you want to copy the value to the message or save it for future use in either the message or channel cache. We will leave the target type as message since we are copying the value to another field in the same message. We will cover the ability to save the value for future use using message or channel cache variables in another video. The target node path is used to specify which field will be updated. In our case, the segment and field that should be updated is PID 2. If you know the path, you can type it in, or if you don't know, you can click on the hourglass to open up the node path dialog. If you need to enter the same data into multiple locations, you can add additional targets by clicking on Insert. Click OK to close and save your first mapping function. Our next mapping function is going to change the case of the patient name. We will be converting the patient name from proper case to uppercase for the reference lab. Click on Insert and select Change Case from the function menu. Just like our standard function, we will select Source Node to tell QIE to pull the node path from the original message. Next, we will open the Node Path dialog box to view our sample message and select the field containing the patient name. In the case drop-down list, we will select Uppercase to tell QIE which case we want to change the patient name to. Finally, we need to set the target for the converted patient name by clicking Insert in the Target section. Since we are updating the existing field in the HL7 message, we leave the target type as message and enter PID 5 in the target node path. Click OK to save this mapping function. Our next mapping function is going to look up the current link codes in a cross-reference table that we will create in the System Variables section. But before we do that, let me tell you about how tabs work in QIE. We understand there are times during your interface development that you will want to reference settings, variables, or even code from another channel. Just like modern web browsers, QIE allows you to have multiple tabs open during your interface development. This allows you to be coding your interface and, for example, access the Database Connections section to find the name of a connection you previously created. Let's open another tab and click on the System Variables section. System variables are used to store static values that can be referenced and used by mapping functions, conditions, or custom scripts. We are going to create a cross-reference table that allows us to replace the old link code with a new one. Click on New and give the table a name and enter in a description. Under Type, select Table and hit Tab to be taken to the first column. We will enter in the old link codes in the first column, the new link codes in the second column, and we will insert a third column that has a description for easier management. Next, rename the columns for easier reference and save the table by clicking Save at the top. If your data is contained in an external spreadsheet or CSV file, we can avoid data entry by linking the cross-reference table to the spreadsheet by clicking Link System Variable to External Source at the bottom. This brings up fields where we enter the file path and set how often we want the table to be updated. For this demo, we will use our static list, but this feature allows for more streamlined management and the option to delegate table maintenance through external spreadsheets. Now that we've created our cross-reference table, let's go back to our Channel tab and create the mapping function. Click on Insert and select Table Lookup from the function menu and enter a description. Just like our standard function, we will select Source Node to tell QIE to pull the node path from the original message. Next, we will open the Node Path dialog box to view our sample message and select the field containing the old link code. Upon selecting the field, the node path is automatically populated. Next, we need to select the table we created in the System Variables. In the drop-down menu, click on Link Lookup. Next, select the column from the Find In drop-down list that contains the link code from the source message. Then select the column from the Set To drop-down list that will be used to replace the outdated link code. Now tell QIE what to do if there is no match found in the message. Finally, we need to set the target for the new value by clicking Insert in the Target section. Since we are updating the existing field in the HL7 message, we leave the target type as message and enter OBX 3.1 in the target node path. Click OK to save this mapping function. It is important to note that mapping functions are processed in order, and if you need to change the processing order, click on the Move Up or Move Down buttons. To complete our interface, we need to set up how our messages will be delivered in the destination node. Similar to the source node, The destination node uses the same built-in communication protocols to deliver messages to the destination system. We will select File and type in the path to the folder where we want the messages to be saved. QIE provides the ability to tailor how messages are sent based on the needs and specifications of the receiving system and provides specific error management options for your destination. Now that our interface is completed, we can use QIE's built-in testing environment to process the sample message through the channel configuration and check for errors. During your interface development, changes to channel configurations can be tested prior to publishing them to a live interface to prevent unexpected or unwanted issues. To access the testing environment, click on the Test tab. QIE will load your first sample message into the testing environment. If you have multiple sample messages, you can access them via the Message drop-down menu in the Test Panel toolbar. Once your message is loaded, you can either test the message by executing one step at a time using the Step button, or you can play the message through the entire channel configuration by clicking the Play button. If at any point you want to restore the test message to its original state and reset the process, click on the Reset button. We want to pause after each executed step to ensure the changes we expect to happen are happening. So we will step our message through the testing environment. When we hit step the first time, QIE will parse the sample message based on the source format and display the status in the lower left corner. As the message is stepped through the channel configuration, the active node is highlighted in green in the visual channel editor, and the test panel color is updated to match the active node. When we hit step again, the mapping node is now highlighted, and the testing window changes to display the mapping node test panel. Here you will see the mapping function list located in the upper left section. The state of the message before the execution of the mapping function will be displayed in the upper right section, and the state of the message after the execution of the mapping function is displayed in the lower right section. The script used to execute the mapping function is displayed in the lower left. In the test window, we see that the first mapping function is highlighted, indicating that it was just executed. In the Before section, we see the patient ID is located only in PID 3. In the After section, the function executed as expected, and the patient ID has been copied to PID 2. Click Step again, and the second mapping function is highlighted. In the Before section, the patient name is in proper case, and in the After section, the patient name is in uppercase. Click Step to process the third mapping function. The Before section shows the old LOINC code in OBX 3.1, and the After section shows the new LOINC code has replaced it. To complete your testing, hit Step one more time and confirm the successfully processed status message is displayed in the Destination Node Test panel. Upon successfully testing our message and seeing the expected results, we can save our channel configuration and then start the channel to begin processing messages. Once we start the channel, we can see that messages have started processing by going to the Status tab. QIE displays the number of received, processing, and completed messages in the channel counters and contains the most recent log messages in the Log History section. Congratulations on creating your first interface in QIE. Stay tuned for future videos on more advanced functionality of the Qvera Interface Engine. For additional online resources, check out our KB at qvera.com.